This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, everyone. I am Rachni Jain on behalf of agricultureinformation.com. I'd like to welcome you all to this online meeting. Please take a moment to review the guidelines for this online meeting posted in the chat window. I now request the moderator, Mr. Lakshmipati, to introduce the speaker and start the meeting. Thank you.
Everyone, I am Lakshmipati. I will be moderating this meeting. Agricultureinformation.com likes to welcome to this meeting Dr. Anurag Saxena, the Principal Scientist and in charge at ICAR, National Dairy Research Institute, Karnal, Haryana. Dr. Anurag Saxena will be speaking on the topic cultivation and post-harvest processing of apricot. I now request the speaker to begin.
Thanks, sir. Now I am continuing my talk on cultivation post-harvest processing of apricot. I served in Ladakh for more than 2.5 years. And I come across with the problem with apricot, which is now first I will tell the situation of the Ladakh, or rather we can say uniqueness of the cold arid system. It is low biomass production system where animal husbandry and perennial vegetation give the security. This is due to the low and erratic rainfall, means only 50 mm precipitation is there, which is mostly in form of snowfall. Temperature goes beyond -30 degrees in winters. Wind velocity is very high, up to 40 kilometers per hour, with intense solar radiation. Soils are gravelly and sandy loams. Growing season is very short. Animals being the main component of the agriculture system, and wind and water erosion is a major problem with the shortage of irrigation water. This ecosystem is hostile, fragile, and yet to be explored. See, this is the condition of Ladakh. The best part of Ladakh is a literacy rate. It is very high. Means whatever we are giving the interventions, they are ready to take. And population is very little, only 1.33 lakhs. And the total geographical area is 45,000 kilometers square. And total crop area, which is fully irrigated, it is 10,000 roughly. Now coming to apricot. It is a stone fruit grown on a limited area in Ladakh. Both fresh and processed fruits get the premium prices because every part, like kernel and shell of fruit, has economic value. And cultivation area is 2,300 hectares with production of 15,700 tons, out of which 10,000 is fresh and 5,000 is dry. Over the last 4 or 5 years, there is increase in area in Kargil district by 9%, and in Leh district it is decreased by almost 17%. Why? Because due to mortality in plant in the flood affected areas. Once in 2010, there was heavy downpour occurred and most of the orchards vanished. And again, they are not ready to establish new orchards there. And majority of apricot production is consumed locally and a small quantity in dried forms. They come out just because there is a one insect called codling moth, and there is quarantine laws applicable in Ladakh because in Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh, they are not allowing the Ladakhi apricot to come out from the Ladakh. See, 62% apricots are produced in Ladakh, and it has the comparative advantages just because it is not coinciding with the main apricot season of the world. Therefore, it gets the premium prices. Why it is problematic there? Because insufficient production and processing techniques available with the local dwellers, market is disorganized, and that leads to up to 60% wastage of apricot production there. And the fruit is very nutritious, contains desirable secondary metabolites for human health, and apricot farming may become profitable by doing the harvest processing, and it will lead to good livelihood options for the Ladakh dwellers. The growing areas in villages which are situated in the narrow valleys around 9,500 feet elevation, they produce the best quality dried apricots called Halman variety of petting. In villages that are producing in Kargil district are listed here, and the villages producing apricot in Leh district are listed here. Because microclimate plays an important role in production of apricots. In Ladakh, there are no organized orchards are available. Only the individual trees or a small group of trees, they are grown in Ladakh as a kitchen garden. Rakse Karpu, it is a variety preferred for fresh just because of its appearance, more sweet, juiciness, and aroma and color. It attracts the tourist in Ladakh. It contains higher sorbitol, which is a sweetener used in food products like sugar-free sweets, chewing gums, etc. The sweetness increases with the rise in the altitude. Or higher we go on the hillside, it is more sweet. It is 100-meter increase in elevation. Fruit ripening is delayed by 1 week. It is a thumb rule now. And the Ladakh being producing the premium apricots, but also they are producing low quality apricots also. And these are late maturing, smaller in size. Harvesting of fruits is done during the July end to early September. Means it is the only 1 month or 45 days time for the harvest of apricots there. And they can, with this apricot of Ladakh, marketed over the extended period. Because in the world, this is the season where only Ladakhi apricots are available as a fresh. The growers are not interested in establish new orchards just because it takes only 8 to 10 years for bearing. Whereas the new techniques, mulching with 100 micron plastic sheet, it reduces time by almost half. The planting season, normally nurseries are raised in the dormant stage during April and March to April. Once we go for nursery development after leaf emergence, there is heavy mortality in seedlings. The nursery raised in the polybags, they are very successful, gives the 95% success during the transplanting. And the polybags nursery also helps in extending the planting season. It can be planted, the nursery can be raised in the poly houses with polybags where the temperature is more, whereas in case of open field, it is possible after April. If we go for dry transplanting, means cutting and just plant them in the field. There is a very high mortality for the first 2 years. Whatever the cultivars available for the Ladakhi dwellers, there's majority of seeds are of seedling origin. Grafting is now preferred, and Halman and Rakte Karpo, these varieties are grafted on a root stock grown from the seeds of wild apricots. Other varieties available are Narmu, Ante, Margulam, and Topopa. These are some Ladakhi names. That's why you might be listening the different type of names of varieties, because this white flesh and sweet kernel apricots, they are grown areas up to 3,000 meters above mean sea level. And yellow apricots, they require slightly higher warm climate and grown at 1,000 to 1,500 meters MSL. And a better fruit setting, long cool winters with forest-free periods, that is required. Once the tree is under bloom, if frost came, the all crop has gone. Then how to select the site? Its production depends on the tree size, vigor, and the ability of crop to produce. Irrigation facility is assured irrigation facilities are required, or rainwater is required after rain harvesting of rainwater or any reservoir which can be used for irrigation. Sometimes during summers, the temperature goes below 5 to 10 degrees, and this creates problem for apricot production. Then the soil requirement, it can be grown on all type of soils, but it grows well on well-drained deep soils with good moisture holding capacity and having a good soil organic matter content in the soil. This is the problem in Ladakh because the organic matter content of Ladakhi soils are very low. And we cannot add more organic matter as the decomposition of organic matter is very difficult there due to low temperatures. And wild apricots grown everywhere in well-drained soil with less fertility. It is some photograph I have put here. It is during the winters, the apricot, they are at a bloom, and this is the blooming trees of apricot. Then propagation and raising root stock. The rising demand lead to growing interest in the vegetative propagation now. Normally the propagation is done by bud grafting, budding, or tea budding. Tongue grafting and chip budding used for its multiplication nowadays. Wild apricot rootstocks budded with the high-yielding Halman and Rakte Karpo varieties. And these rootstocks are grown from the ripe wild apricot seeds. Before sowing, seeds need stratification to break the dormancy in the seeds. After stratification, seeds are sown in polybags and seedlings are ready after 1 year. After that, tongue and cleft grafting performed, clip budding also done during the February and give 70% success. Then how to plant trees in the soil. 1 by 1 by 1 meters pit size is required, and it is ticked before 30 days before planting. Pit is filled with decomposed FYM and soil mixtures. When they see the Ladakhi terrain is somewhat slopy, and on slopy land, controlled planting system is done, whereas on the flat lands, square or triangular planting is done. Spacing depends on the variety and the soil. Normally, 1-year-old seedling are transplanted at 3 to 3 meter spacing. Staking is done if it is grouping type of seedling. And after that, mulching is done at plant basins with the plastics or local hay, any organic material which is available to conserve the moisture and to reduce the weed growth. Once the orchard is planted, the use of interspaces, because 3 into 3 meter is a bigger space left for the crops. In these interspaces, we can grow alfalfa crop for fodder, barley for grain and fodder both, wheat or mustard. Trees are grown, and it is done for first 2 to 5 years stage. After that, it covers the canopy of apricot trees covers the whole land, and the production of these annual crops reduces. Then pruning. Normally in Ladakh, they do not go for pruning. They even do not cut a single branch. That way, the whole land or sunlight, it is not coming to the fruits, it is not properly distributed or diffused below the canopy, and it creates problem. And the tree goes up to 20 meters height without cutting. And this lack of pruning hinders the fruit harvesting also. And the fruit remains small and low quality. And trees normally are trained to get the enough light from canopy, flower buds to produce the best quality fruits. And new growth, it is coming after the pruning, and interfering wood should be removed each year once tree attains the full size. Irrigation. Assured irrigation for tree cultivation is required as hot and dry condition prevails during summers or during the crop. This crop is apricot season. Evaporation rate is very high, and sandy loam soil is having low water holding capacity. Plant needs more water frequent interval in these type of soils. And the frequency of irrigation, it is decided by the type of soil, age of tree. Normally, irrigation frequency is recommended at 8 to 10 days interval during the hot days, May to June. Besides irrigation, we have to see that no waterlogging should occur and excess water has to be drained out. For this, micro irrigation system may be a viable option there, where we can save 50 to 50% water with no leaching losses. And this Ladakh has declared as an organic state, therefore, no chemical fertilizer or no chemical pesticides are used in Ladakh, and we have to manage through only organic manures. However, the plant needs chemical fertilizers, but we have to forego these chemical fertilizer advantages. And normally they give manures once in a year. That is well sufficient for the growth, but it also results in low productivity and smaller size of fruits. And plant growth, early plant growth is very low due to very severe winters. Being a cold place, the attack of pests and disease are very less, but now due to climate change, rising temperatures are creating problems and introduction of new insects and pests there. Few insects, they are occurring at the apricot sites are codling moth, aphids, yellowtail moths, green fruit worms, plum aphids, and peach twig borers. Due to this codling moths, the Ladakhi persons are not able to sell their produce outside Ladakh. Therefore, it is consumed in Ladakh only. Only dry fruits, they come out from the Ladakh. And diseases are some armillaria root rot, Euphytica dieback, brown root blossoms, Phytophthora root and crown rot, ripe fruit rots, verticillium wilts, short hole disease, powdery mildew, etc. Different type of diseases occur, but at a low intensity. Aphids. It attacks the Halman variety of apricot. See the aphids sticking on the leaf. They eat the whole leaf on severe infestation. They damages floral and vegetative buds and suck the sap. Unfolding a leaves curl up and is stunted to growth and get distorted and later turn pale. And that ultimately leads to the poor fruit rate with the premature fruit drop and forming the subnormal fruit. Then yellowtail moths. It is not a regular insect pest in Ladakh, but it emerged as a major pest during the 2013 and 16 in Dha Hanoob and Sham belt of Leh district. With this pest, the farmers lost around 2 to 2.5 crores of revenue with this insect. This insect defoliate the tree at caterpillar stage for feeding activities for completing its life cycle, leading to reduced growth and complete destruction of fruits. Then codling moth, then most persistent, destructive, and difficult to control. Larvae is the most voracious feeder. When infestation is low, these caterpillars do not impact much, but at outbreak, they completely defoliate the trees. But the plant do not die with the infestation of these insect. See these two photographs I have put here. One is completely defoliated, and after control of insect, the plant regenerate and with full foliage and good production. How to control the insect? In Ladakhi, mostly they are both. They do not follow the killing of any insect, pest, or animal. So therefore, if once it is infected by any insect, they leave as such. All the produce for insects. The strategy for this, we should go for sanitation of orchard. Just how gather and destroy the fallen fruits, dead leaves from the trees after November. The fallen leaves should be raked up and put in a compost pit. Prune the trees, destroy the dead and injured, diseased, overcrowded twigs. And best time of pruning is late spring, March to April, when it is dormant stage. Remove wood piles or debris which harbors the larva, and larva get the shelters during winter. And summer pruning should always be avoided. And early August it should not be pruned, just after harvesting the fruits. And harvesting yield, normally farmers pick 2 to 3 times fresh apricots for consumption or processing. It matures in July to August, depending on the variety. The indicators are firmness of the fruit and the color development. Once the green color converts into the yellow one, it is ready for harvest. And for drying, fully ripened fruit is harvested. And it is a perishable fruit and lasts for only 7 to 10 days. Therefore, post-harvest processing is required for this. And from a tree, we can harvest 50 to 85 kg per tree. Or on a hectare basis, we can go for 15 to 25 tons. And once a tree attains the age of 20 to 30 years, 150 to 600 kilograms of fruits we can harvest from a single tree. Now comes the uses. It is a better fruit and utilized as canned, dried, or frozen, and used in baby foods besides fresh consumption. Other products, wine making, brandy, jam, and nectar, it is used in these products. Seed oil, they use in pharma, food, and cosmetic industries. It has a good antioxidant activity, which is quite high due to its rich in polyphenolic content, carbohydrate rich, fiber rich, mineral vitamins A, C, K, E, proteins, soluble sugars, carotenoids, phenolics like that, and fatty acids and minerals. Fresh consumption in a limited quantity maintains the blood sugar, lowers the blood cholesterol and body weight. And chutney is made from unripe fruits, while papad is made from the fully ripened fruit pulp. Kernel oil used in cosmetic industry, massage oil, soaps, creams, balms, skin care lotions, and moisturizing creams. And it has anti-inflammatory properties. And it is also used in treating dermatitis and dandruff. Edible apricot oil is used in cooking, and it contains low cholesterol and good for cardiac health. Anti-aging, antioxidant properties used in beauty product industry. And apricot kernels, it is not used for human nutrition, as it contains the toxic and cyanogenic glucosides. Amygdalin. Amygdalin is a product which is used in treating human cancer. It contains very high 5.5 gram per 100 gram in bitter apricot cultivars, where it is not detected in sweet ones. And high concentration of hydrogen cyanide, 200 milligram per 100 gram, whereas in domestic bitter apricot contains very low level of 11.7. See here, excess consumption of apricot kernels, 1 milligram per liter, leads to CN in blood carbon nitrogen ratio in blood, may cause poisoning, where the threshold level for HCN is 0.5 milligram per gram. Now it is the chemical composition. It is 50% oil, 29-30% ash, then arginine, 26.1 millimole, 100 per 100 gram, like that. And mineral content, thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, vitamin C, alpha tocopherol, and delta tocopherol. And the mineral content ranges from sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, iron, zinc, manganese, nickel, and cobalt. Then saturated and unsaturated fatty acids, it is a good source. Oleic acid, linoleic acid, and neutral lipids, glycolipids, phospholipids, oil contents, campestrol, then stigmasterol, and unsaponifiable matter, saponification number, iodine value, and specific gravity. It is all listed here for the fatty acid composition of the apricot fruit. The amygdalin content. Earlier it was with that once it grown on the elevation, it is more amalgamated content is there, but now researchers says that geographical elevation has no marked influence on kernel amygdalin content, and these kernel physical characters have no effect on these contents. However, the genotype plays significant role on variability in the amygdalin content. I have made a value chain of apricot in Ladakh. Here it is a farmer, or you can say the producer. Once the produce is assembled in a mandi or like that, the wholesaler take the lead, then processors, then it goes to retailers, processor goes to retailer, then commission agents, processor manufacturer and wholesalers, and these research organizations, they provide the input for the better food production in the Ladakh. So one prime researchable issue or developmental issue, I think it has to be shared with you all, because only 15% food is consumed as fresh, 85% is consumed as dry, and the price which the farmer are getting for fresh is 200 rupees per kg. After drying, it is 400 rupees per kg. If you blend making wine or chung, it is rupees 1000 per 750 ml. Processing is done. We can go for 1 kg apricot pulp, we can have 3 to 4 liters of wine with 4% of alcohol or alcoholic beverages. This, I think, is a better option because Ladakh is a place where mostly honeymooners go. Instead of keeping higher alcohol percentage in the wine, we can sell 2 bottles if we keep the alcohol percentage low. Means husband and wife both can take. If alcohol percentage is high, only husband will take. See, this we have tried for making some wine, and we have developed this product, and refinement is further required. And these apricot wines, they are already in market available. Homemade wines are available, roughly to 1,200 rupees per bottle. These are some barrels, local barrels, which is modified now by putting a tap here. In this barrel, good quality wine or chung is made. Then another aspect of apricot is drying, because mostly dried apricots are sold in the market. That farmers are getting, wherever they are getting the space, they are sun dried in under the shade. And now this availability of solar dryers, it gives an advantage in time, appearance, and quality of dried apricots. See some drying on the roof, drying in some structures, and this nuts, dried apricot. Again, the bloomed nuts. This is stoneless dried apricots. It is in local language, it is called chuli. And the apricots available under packing in the market also. Then the value-added products, the apricot oil, apricot papad, and mostly the harvested fruits, they are susceptible to post-harvest diseases. Normally, fruits are processed for jam, juices, and seed oils. Value-added products, only 50 tons of fruit pulp is consumed locally, and remaining go in the waste. Apricot scrub, mostly all might have used somewhere, some in the household, the apricot scrub available in plenty in the market. But most of the processing is done outside Ladakh. The industrialists take the apricot seeds from the Ladakh and do processing outside. And if the processing is done in Ladakh, then it can give a good livelihood option for Ladakhi persons. Cottage industry can flourish. And based on value-added products, there is enough scope to enhance the market share. Another products are available, or we have developed the apricot toffee in blending with chocolates. Then sea buckthorn pulp with apricot pulp, we have made laddus, jams, and this is some small processing units are there. Apricot Nutri Energy Bites are available, and different type of processing, like mostly they are doing drying. And this is seedless. After cutting into half, they are drying the apricots, jam, then simply putting the syrup, apricot in the syrup, sugar syrup. It increases the shelf life. Now, this is thank you from the apricot seller of Ladakhi. See, this type of roadside market are in plenty in Ladakh. Simply they put all the dried apricots in the bags and come in the market. Thank you. This is all about I want to share with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anurag Saxena, for a very detailed and interesting presentation and talk. I now request the participants to ask their questions. We'll also be posting the speaker's contact details in the chat window. Now over to the participants for questions. Any questions, please? Any questions from participants? Dr. Padma, you have any question, please? What about Mr. Joseph Brito? Any question?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lakshmipati.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Anurag, for a very detailed presentation on apricot. Yeah, could you tell to what extent we can grow it successfully in Bangalore or maybe under polyhouse condition? Is it worth it? And
No, sir.
if so, which are the varieties suitable?
Sir, once it is placed in Bangalore, it will lose all its properties. Only it is
Thought
the
so.
advantage of the climate. See, normally apricots are grown in the Afghanistan or Hindu Kush belt in Ladakh, Kashmir, and Himachal Pradesh. But the Ladakhi apricot is much more sweeter than these other places apricot. And in Bangalore, normally temperature remains 20 to 30 degrees. Whereas in case of Ladakh, 20 degrees maximum and 5 degrees or 6 degrees minimum in the summer. That it will give the better production in Ladakh, not in Bangalore. See, once we have experienced the solo, the plant which is grown in 19,000 feet and higher. Once we put that plant in the lake, it lost all its properties, medicinal properties. This is the latitude or elevation wise properties which is these plants are having.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Brito. Any other questions, participants? Okay, no questions forthcoming. Any questions that will come up later can also be addressed to the speaker, whose contact details have been given in the chat window. And there we come to the end of this session. It's time to thank the speaker, Dr. Anurag Saxena, on behalf of Agriculture Information, for taking his time to speak with us.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Lakshmipati. I like to thank the speaker, Dr. Anurag Saxena, for taking the time to talk with us. I also like to thank all the participants for their time. The meeting will now be closed.
Okay.